Good evening.
Good
Oh,
evening.
hello, Mr. Rathman. How are you tonight?
I am doing well. How about yourself?
Good. I see that you're dangling among the Pleiades this evening.
I am. I am. They're behind me.
Yes, they are. They're behind you. I have a few more photographs to send your way that will boggle your mind that I
Awesome.
have picked up along the way. You know what I do. Like, oh, that's gorgeous. Send it to Tony. Oh, that's gorgeous. Send it to Tony.
I love it when you do that. It gives me
Yeah.
great backdrops.
Yes. How are you feeling?
I have been good up until about today. I have a cold or something, and it's kicking my butt at the moment. But I'll get through it. Always do.
Okay.
But
Always do.
felt great after you healed me in Vegas. I mean, I walked out of there just feeling fantastic.
Oh, that's great. Well, we'll do that little trick again the next time we're together. And
So
in the interim, if you ever need a good Reiki recharge, just let me know and I'll get Erin on the case because
she does fantastic work. She's
yes.
done that for me before at a distance, and it
Hmm.
worked. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. And speaking of amazing, um, the guest that I have on tonight, I have literally wanted to have on the show since we rebooted it, and went to video and then went into syndication on KGRA. And I'm sending all my love to Bill and everybody at the studio. They're wonderful too. But oh my God, is it great to have you back?
It's
I,
fantastic to be back. Thank you.
I missed you. I truly missed you. And, Bill did a fantastic job in your absence.
He did. He definitely.
Really phenomenal job. But, we have a simpatico, a brother sister closeness that I missed. It was just such a blessing to see you every Friday night. And, we chat during the week, we stay in touch, but still to see your face and want to just pinch those sweet cheeks. Yeah,
Well,
it's
it's a pleasure to be back, and thank you. I feel the same way. I missed that was 6 long months.
yes, 6 long months. Yes, it was. Oh God. So Amelia Pisano is our guest tonight. And Tony, if you could, and I don't know how you do that, I don't, me, I'm a techno idiot, but try to mark or post any questions that we
Sure.
get, because after Amelia comes on and we chat for a little while, based on what she does, I feel certain that people are going to have questions for her.
Okay.
And I would like to open the studio and
Sure.
let them through and let her address them each individually, because what she does is so unique and so specialized that I'm sure it will pique the interest of all of our viewers. And undoubtedly, there will be questions forthcoming.
All
So
right. I will keep
don't,
track of them.
okay, and don't be reticent about putting them up on the bottom of the screen. Just, if you would, leave them there until we address the question. In
Okay.
case you put it up and she's finishing a thought or I am, leave it there until we actually address the question so that I don't have to ask you to put it up again, because oh God.
Okay. I'll keep track of them, and when you say you're ready for questions, I'll
Okay.
put them up then. All right. Sounds great.
Okay. Excellent. Wonderful. So without further ado, please let us welcome Ms. Amelia Pisano to A World Awakening.
Hi. How are you? I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh God, I love you to pieces. You
I
know
love
that
you.
I do. Now, I'm
Um,
going to tell you something that you probably don't know.
okay.
I guess probably about a year ago, maybe not quite so long ago, but about a year ago, this show went into syndication on KGRA Digital Broadcasting Group, which goes
Congratulations.
worldwide. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. And so, don't be nervous, but there are people all over the world that will be listening to you tonight.
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks.
And that's wonderful because, it gives us a platform and a way to get the message of this show out in a truly meaningful way.
Absolutely.
And, a few years ago, before pre-COVID, you and I did a couple of shows together, and we called it, whenever we could arrange it to get together, we called it Soul Sister Sojourn.
Yes.
And
Beautiful.
and that may very well come back in, with another incarnation at some point, because your work is so
Oh my
incredibly
gosh. No.
phenomenal, and
Thank you.
just who you are is so special. And we've known each other for the better part of a decade now, and I love you with all my heart. I
I
mean,
love you.
we've laid in bed with our computers in our laps eating cookies and
Yeah.
talking for hours. Okay.
No makeup,
I mean,
ponytails. Yeah.
like
We've done it.
like if we had actually been together in the same bed, it would have just been a cookie fest. It would have
Oh
been
yeah.
Crumb City.
Happy puppy peanut. Yeah.
Yes, yes, exactly. But I stole the idea from what we had done originally years ago, and launched a new show on KGRA on Monday nights called Soul School Sojourn.
I love that. You didn't steal it.
Yes.
It was your idea. You didn't steal it.
Well, but still, we had kind of used it, and then I repurposed it. It's kind of like regifting with a twist.
Yeah, and it is a
And
gift. It's a beautiful thing.
and the whole idea of Soul School is, the premise is that we are here on Earth, which I perceive to be soul school, except that in soul school, unlike human school, where you go to class and you learn the lesson and then you take the test, it's reversed. And in soul school, the test comes before the lesson. You have to go through the test and presumably, pass or fail to learn the lesson. And so that's the whole entire conceit of that show. But what you do, and with your abilities, which are profound,
No, thank you.
you help so many people. And I think if I had to choose one word to describe the impact of what you do, it's closure.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry. But thank you. I just don't believe that you can be given gifts like this and not help someone else. It's just not in my nature. I'm very
Right.
much that person that no matter how much money comes my way, I'll always be giving it away. I'm
Yeah, me
just that
too.
person. I
Which is
believe
why
in,
I'm always broke.
right?
Oh, I
Like
got a really good royalty check. Who needs it more than
yeah,
me?
who needs
I
it?
mean, that's the story
Yeah.
of my
Yeah,
life.
exactly. And there's people that I always try to help every year because I know they need it, and it's just important. I'm the one that says build the bigger table, not a fence. It's important, and it's also important to know limits as well and boundaries, because we can get hurt a lot by giving so much all the time. But it really doesn't matter, because all the ones that are helped is what matters the most to me. It's the souls that are healed, the souls that are saved, even with whether it's missing persons, a murder case giving closure to a parent, or if it's a malevolent haunting. They're all about keeping the souls safe.
Yes.
So my biggest thing for me, I could never I don't go into hauntings and investigations. I don't do that, but they find me when I'm out for dinner or I'm somewhere, and I cannot just sit by and not help a soul ascend if it's there. I'm not that believer that they need to stay there. I'm not that person. I believe in giving them a choice, and if they need the assistance, give it to them. And if they want to come back, they can come back and visit.
Yes. Well, I have I've been it's kind of been jury out for me on that, in that I'm so grateful that spirit is here to teach us. Selfishly, I don't really want them to go away.
I went
There
through
have
that.
been people, that have gone to the farmhouse who said, well, let me help cross these souls. I'm like, no, 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 it was their house first. That's not our choice to make.
I understand that.
That's not our
Yep.
decision to make. But your approach is quite different in that you communicate with them and you give them the option of staying or going and then coming back at will, because of course they are, off planet for all intents and purposes, even though there's some element of them that remains, if not fully earthbound, occasionally earthbound. But I feel like their presence is of such profound importance that I selfishly, I'll admit, don't want them to leave, because I want to learn as much from them as I possibly can so that I can tell their story accurately.
That's a different, I'm not saying right or wrong. It's a different reason. It's a different reason for having them stay, and you tell their story, and then they're obviously staying because they want to tell your story. That's how I see it. If they're staying, it's because they want to. A spirit, if you're assisting them and they want to cross, they will cross. But I always let them know that they can come back and still do what they do, but without all the baggage of the earth, and come back with, healing. And it's not like they're gone forever. They do come back and they do frequent and visit their loved ones still. So it all depends on the situation. And there are spirits that just do not, like, I'm staying here, this is whatever. For me, it's the children that I always look for, because the kids don't know where they are most of the time. And then those who have chosen to end their own lives, often they don't feel like they are deserving because of whatever upbringing they have.
Right. And they're fearful. They're
very
fearful
afraid
to go to the light, not knowing if it is, the eternal light of what some refer to as heaven, or if it is, the fire and brimstone of what some refer to as hell. And our own, whether it be our mythology, our belief systems, our indoctrination religiously, whatever, we live with certain, we live on this earth being impacted some way, somehow, by usually a specific belief system that begins in life so young that even a young child can be afraid to cross, be afraid to go on, because they might think that they still belong here, or they died so suddenly and tragically that they don't even know they're dead yet.
No, they don't. And some of them, if their grandparents are still alive here on this plane, don't understand or recognize who's there trying to help them over.
Right.
It becomes one of those, it's like, I don't want to go with them. I don't know who this person is, kind of thing. And that's where you ask for help, from whether you believe in angels or guides to assist. And a child, I just could never leave a child alone. I think it would break my heart if it was my child who was stuck there. I would want to always help a child. And I can tell you that most of the spirits that we have ascended come back and stay in their homes after they've ascended, and they're so happy. It's so important. It's just to make sure there aren't any attachments on them. There's nothing feeding off of them. That's the biggest. You want to make sure they're safe. We want to save those souls.
What, for those that might not have had the opportunity to read your biography prior to coming into the show, why don't you take a few minutes to just tell people who you are, where you are, what you do, and give them your own verbal biography so that they can feel that connection with you. And I think that it will, open them up to your process and will naturally spawn questions as well.
Okay, I will do. Thank you. I'm not used to talking about myself. I'm used to being in Annie's position. But yeah, a long, long time ago, my gift, it comes from my mom's side, and it's generational. And I mean, it goes way back where we can't even put a date on it. And my dad's side built Pisa. So they're the great sculptors of Pisa in Italy, as well as my great 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 uncle is Fibonacci. So I have these, but I can't draw and I hate math. Who knew? Which doesn't work for me because I do work with missing children and cold cases, and I assist a lot, and I've assisted even when I wasn't asked to. Sometimes things just fall in your lap. But I remember one of my first, and it's funny because when you hear people talk about their first experience, you'll often hear 3 or 4. But how can you remember 3 or 4 years old? Well, easy when you're traumatized. Very easy. Something like that is imprinted and stays with you for life. And we were at a summer house, spending a couple of weeks there. My father and my uncle were both builders. They worked in construction, and my father was the right-hand man for Isidore Sharp, who owns the Four Seasons hotels. So we were at one of his, I won't say whose because this person is in mainstream media all the time, but we were at their summer home, and being a middle-class family, you can't afford a vacation home with children. So my father and my uncle would do the work, and we would stay. We would get to stay for 2 weeks and go into the lake and go swimming and things like that. So that was the trade-off, and it was wonderful. I felt bad for my dad and my uncle after realizing this, but they sacrificed and worked that time so that their kids and their family could experience a lake house for a couple of weeks every summer. So the first time, and I really clearly remember every detail of the inside of this house, every detail to the last spoon she had hanging on the wall. Remember the little silver spoons you would collect from the different cities? They were all there, and I was mesmerized by them. I was just like, never seen anything like that because we didn't go anywhere, right? Who had a trip? So anyways, my mom, being an old school Italian, separated the girls and the boys. So I was with my brother's fiance in a room with other girls. And my mom had me when she was 41. So I am very, very like the youngest on both sides of the family. So they're all much older than me. Some of my cousins are like aunts to me, but I love them all. So we were in a room together, and I saw what appeared to be a ghostly face that I described as Captain Highliner from the Frozen Fish because I didn't know how else to describe him in the window. And my sister-in-law got really, really scared because she's like, we're on the second level. How could anybody be in this window? So she took me back to my mom's room, and my mom just dismissed it. It's just a nightmare, dismissed it. I didn't have the luxury of talking about gifts with my mom. It was something that you didn't say. It's something you didn't talk about. Being psychic or being a medium was, and I didn't even know what I was capable of as I was growing up. But what I do talk about a lot, it's so important to talk to your children if they are gifted, because I did attempt suicide twice in a year. From 15 to 16, because I couldn't fit in. I was the weirdo. I was in the popular group, but yet I was strange. I didn't fit in anywhere, and I think that's what caused me to suppress everything. And everything came out much later. When I was about 19, we had a family member whose son was abducted and murdered. And he was 11 years old. He was taken at knife point in a mall. Nobody stopped to try and help. He was taken by a molester who had just been released in a halfway house about 6 homes away from the Stevenson's house. And I just looked at my mother when they found his body 6 days later after he had been tortured and raped. And I said, I can't not do anything. This is wrong. And that just set us off in two directions. So I think that's the biggest thing for me, was trying to find a way to be a part of being able to help. And when I couldn't do it that way, she said, people will think you were crazy. I remember going to therapy, and I healed everything with my mom before she passed away. My mom was a wonderful woman. She passed away young. I was only 27. And I was pregnant at the time and lost that baby a couple months later. It was a rough year. But I know that I was loved, and I know that she was okay with everything by that point. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing with being that far in age difference. She was 41. The language barrier was a problem. So my dad was always my biggest cheerleader. He was good with it. That was my balance, right? But anyways, fast forwarding to my 40s, because I promised my husband that I would keep everything, I wasn't going to bring this into the house, but I had experiences in my house as well. So when I read your book, I was just like, this is insanity. I could relate to a lot of the things. And then I kept dismissing because, we built a new house on land, not thinking, never knowing before internet that the land can be haunted, not understanding any of that. So fast forward to in my 40s, actually 40 years old, I had a partial hysterectomy. I was accidentally given morphine. I'm fatally allergic. So I did have 3 NDEs. And the floodgates just went. I couldn't anymore. I couldn't ignore it. I always had an interest. I always dabbled. I always just thought I gave good advice when I was younger. I'm like, wow, I give some really good advice, Like I tell people what direction they should go in. And I tell them how much their families love them and family members. There's no way they could be angry with you. It's like it didn't click. It's just one of those, I don't know. Maybe they should have put me back in school. I don't know. But it's just, I don't know. But anyways, once I hit that, while I was in hospital, everything, I had to be there for a few days, and everything just came in really loud. Like you're in a stadium. When you come in a stadium, but you come in after, when the team's jumping up on the green and they're just getting there on the field, that's all I could hear. That's all I could hear. It was just crazy. It wasn't just that one voice anymore. It was crazy. And what was crazier was that I could see things from one corner of a room to the other in every minute detail, even in my visions. It was just insane. It was like someone was knocking from the other side saying, it's time you to start to work. So I went online. I found some mentors. Thank God for the internet at the time, because we wouldn't have been able to do that from a library in our days. Found some mentors and was very fortunate to learn how to use my gift, and didn't know I was a remote viewing medium at the time. I had no idea. I just thought the details are there, and that's why the police have no problems working with me. I'm good with, I hate talking about it that way. I can pick up on numbers and dates and time of year. I can smell, I can taste, I can feel what the temperature's like outside. I can tell you if it's spring or fall just by the way the air feels on my skin. I don't know how else to explain it. It's almost like you're using all your senses from here and transporting them somewhere else. And eventually met Bobby Brown and started working with some high profile cases. And then after that, I feel so boring because I'm not
There's
like
nothing boring about you, my dear.
No,
Nothing.
my gosh. Oh, seriously. And then I met Michelle DeRoche, who is the head of Canada's Most Haunted. I actually won an auction to spend a night with her on an investigation. And it was for animal rescue, me and puppies. So
I do.
I bid until I cut everybody off at the knees because I wanted that night. And I met her, we clicked, and she asked me to be a part of the team. And I did that officially in 2019. And then eventually we did a show together, but we work mainly malevolent cases with her. And I still continue to work on a couple of cold cases. And anytime anybody comes up missing, there's ways to find me on my on my website, I don't turn anyone down and I don't charge for services at all. But in the middle of that is a whole bunch of stuff. I think it's boring. I mean, like it's nothing fascinating like what you went through. I had my moments of hauntings in my house. I've had priests that have come in here and would not walk past the entrance mat in the foyer because they didn't want to continue walking in the house. And I was 24, newly married and transplanted to another city. I had no one in the middle of the country. So I understand that part of how alone you feel. It's hard, especially when you're raised Roman Catholic and then you go to a priest and.
Yeah. Well, that was our experience was, and one of the things that I resented actually about the way our family was portrayed in The Conjuring as some kind of godless heathens when nothing could have been further from the truth. The Catholic Church turned its back on us. It wasn't the other way around.
Yeah.
And it was not portrayed that way at all. It juxtaposed the Warrens as, devout Roman Catholics and our family as having no spiritual grounding at all. And that wasn't fair and it wasn't true.
No.
And I understand that, they wanted to make everything black and white to make it a little easier to understand for the average viewer. But I think that ultimately it did a tremendous disservice in terms of representing our family because we were all born and raised Catholic, baptized, made our first communion. I was in school, in classes for my confirmation when we were summarily dismissed from the church by our priest.
Yeah.
Because he was afraid. I don't even blame him. I don't blame him because he was afraid.
I understand the fear that he had. I get it because I went through that where I couldn't get the priest to come here and I had to travel to many churches. What I don't understand is when someone's coming to your help, isn't it their duty to find someone that can help you? That's how I was raised. I was taught that a priest is always there for you, right? I went to Catholic school. The priest is always there to you. He's there to counsel. He's there to help. If you can't help me, find me someone who can. That's all I wanted. I couldn't even go into church anymore. And when it came out of what I do, after being here for 20 years, I couldn't go to church. It was ridiculous. And I thought, my great-grandmother was shunned by the Catholic Church because she was a practicing witch and a holistic healer. I have relatives in Italy that will not speak to me right now because I come out with that. We're in the 2000s. What is going on? What the hell is wrong with everyone? Seriously.
Yeah.
It was happening now. I had a child to put through school. I had a child that I promised to raise that way. Now she's 25 and I tell her, you got to do what you feel right doing. It's got to feel good to you. That is horrible what they did to you. When people ask me and know that I know you and they'll ask me questions about the movie, I'm like, please don't refer to the film ever, 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 ever. Pick up the book, read it. It's the true story. It is so much more than what is viewed on screen. People tend to forget, and I reiterate this constantly every week on our show. Hollywood is about selling tickets. It's about gaining sponsor. It's all about the money. They will put out there what they need to do.
Right.
So to make
and what
money.
They think will sell, what will fill seats. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, they use a very specific template and formula. And basically, if the formula that they're using has sold bajillions of tickets before, then it's the right formula, regardless if it has absolutely no element of truth or accurate representation of the story, of the actual story. But I know when I first saw the movie, I was like, oh God, I'm going to spend the whole rest of my life
I felt for you so
correcting,
much. Yeah.
misconceptions
Did you
about
not?
it.
You didn't have anything. They didn't come to you for
Oh, they read
anything.
all my books. They read House of Darkness, House of Light,
Yeah, all
volume
three.
1, 2, and then I gave them just before I published the third and
Yeah.
last volume. I gave them the uh, what I call the document that was going to be, how it would be typeset. I gave them the final draft
Yeah.
because it came out shortly after. The third volume came out shortly after the film, um, and they were terrified by it. And I don't understand that, Amelia, because I really don't. Is I don't think of our story as a horror story at all. I think of it much more as a love story with a wicked supernatural twist
There
to
was
it.
twists, there was things that happened, but there was a lot of beauty to it. But I feel like
Yeah.
no one could understand it unless they do read it. They and it's I love reading anything you write because it just sounds like you, and it's very you, and you're so descriptive, and you let people in. You really you're so generous. You give so much of yourself to us. And it would be a shame not to read Andrea's trilogy, honestly. You don't know what you're missing out on. um, what you share is so profound and so touching, and the perspectives, it's sad that they didn't. I think if they had made the film the way you wrote, even volume 1 would have been a
Yeah.
whole different outcome,
But
personally.
I wouldn't be one of the very best selling authors in this genre 10 years later after the movie came out if it
Yeah,
hadn't been for that film.
that's what you
Because
have
there
to.
are
Yeah.
people who are intellectually precocious, who are curious, who will watch a film that says based on a true story or based on the case files of Ed and Lorraine Warren and go, I wonder if there's more story behind this. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I can't help it because I criminally profile. So I can't help it, but I do that. I do that a lot. I need to know more. I need to know more about what's going on. I work with families who go through things like this. Michelle works with them. I do the work on the other side, kind of thing. We work together where there's a whole team of us, and
Mhm.
everybody has their strengths. When you see a family struggling
Yeah.
with this kind of haunting, and a spirit who's trying to help, and the darkness that's trying to feed off of everybody, and it's a process, and it's so, for me, I always think, am I strong enough, am I good enough to help them? Can I That's my biggest fear, is that I can't. And it just pisses me off when I see people profit off of the pain of others.
Of others. Oh,
Yeah.
it makes me crazy.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
how people will monetize everything and
Exploit. Yeah.
and exploit people, and it's tragic for me. Uh, I think that they're selling their soul to the devil,
Oh,
but
there's
by
a lot of
doing
that going
that,
on.
I really
Yeah.
do feel that way. My
Right.
problem, and the thing that, as I was thinking about our time together coming up tonight, I wanted to make a couple of comments to you and just get your perspective. I think that you're an incredibly strong woman.
No,
Um,
thank you.
and I mean, aside from your natural God given gifts, you
Thank
are an
you.
incredibly strong woman. I cannot deal with the darkness. I could never do what you do. And I am grateful that there are people like yourself who can,
No,
because
thank you.
I never could. It would emotionally cripple me
Um,
to read the stories and learn the details of these tragedies which occur with a kind of routineness that I find so abhorrent that it makes me not want to be on this planet anymore. I
It's
loathe,
yeah.
loathe the, there's a part of me that seeks justice in all situations. You know, it's the Libra in me. I am the sign of the scales. I am the sign of
My daughter
blind
too.
justice, you
Yeah.
know. And so I get angry at a distance when I see a miscarriage of justice or I see somebody not being held to account when
Mm-hmm.
it is obvious what role they played, how implicated they are in any given scenario, and seem to be getting away with, you know, murder or maybe less than murder, but getting away with it. That makes me crazy.
Uh,
Um,
yeah.
I couldn't do working on such an incredibly personal level with families and those that have lost loved ones. Now, I can, since we last saw each other, I became an ordained minister.
Yes, I saw
It
that. I
was,
actually congratulated you.
yes, I
But you have
remember.
like 2,000 comments, so
Yeah, yeah, there were quite a few actually.
yeah.
Yes, and I appreciated every one of them. But I felt a calling to do that because
I'm
so
not
many,
surprised, by the way.
there was just so many people that were grieving the loss
Yes.
of their loved ones when COVID hit us like a
Oh,
brick in the forehead.
yeah.
And I thought if there was ever, and I had always felt it, but I never did anything about it. Um, and you know, it's non-denominational. I mean, it's really you know, I'm not affiliated with any
No,
specific
good for
religion.
you. No, you're just there
Um,
to help heal.
yes, and
Yeah.
so I had been a grief counselor years ago in the school that I worked in for boys that had losses, and it was a residential school, so they would find out that something tragic had happened, a loss had occurred, and
Mm-hmm.
they were in the school and couldn't leave. And so somebody needed to be there for them to help them process the loss. And out of 300 plus employees, they chose me. And they did that for a reason because I think I'm just overtly, naturally empathetic. It just shows in my personality. And so
Very
they're like,
much.
oh, her. And so I got my first taste of understanding that you cannot console inconsolable grief. You can listen, you can
Yeah.
hold them and let them weep. You can uh, try to be a buffer for them as they're dealing with the harsh and stark reality of what has just happened and the loss they have sustained. I couldn't go deep the way that you do into
I
the family of those that have,
have lost a child to murder.
right.
Oh,
I don't
um,
know how you do it.
I don't do it as much anymore, meaning I don't get involved with the families as much. It's not as often that I will come face to face with them or on the computer, whatever means of communication, because
Mhm.
there's I get too attached.
Yes.
So I come in a little bit later now, and that's only been from experience of dealing with it. With Malevolent, Michelle handles it all. I just do my job. She talks to the families, she deals with everybody. She goes through the cases. I don't participate. I learned a long time ago that you will break in pieces if
Mhm.
you are constantly involved with the families. I do want to be involved when someone's missing because I need to feel out the people around the child that's missing. Whether it's a child, a teenager, an adult, an older gentleman, I want to feel that energy because everyone, when it's a crime, and this is a crime, when a child's abducted or missed, it's a crime. Um, everyone's a suspect until they're not.
Right.
And it's the same for me. I need to feel the energy of everybody who was anywhere around that person in the coming days, the day of. That's important to me. I can't just take that information from law enforcement. It doesn't work that way, but cold cases are a different story. I can sit and talk to them because cold cases, there's generally years in between, and they have an understanding and an acceptance. When I first started, crime scene photos of a child, I was a wreck for over a year, just with one case. And, I assisted Bobby with John Benet Ramsey, and I was a wreck for over a year.
Yeah.
Over a year. I couldn't. And I knew, and I had to keep pushing myself, and I couldn't. And then I couldn't understand why it wasn't being pursued anymore by family. Like, all this stuff goes through my head, I don't know if it's the Pisces in me. I'm a very, very strong empath. I will cry. I can't watch anything violent, where anybody's getting hurt or tortured. I can't see any of that, especially animals. My God.
Oh my God.
No,
don't even. Yep.
No, I can't watch that. It just, I don't think I'd be able to do my job if I stayed too close.
Yes.
What you're saying is you're not weak, you're smart. And you wouldn't have the proper perspective. You wouldn't obtain the correct information if you were too close. So that has changed for me. I do have someone always in the middle, unless I absolutely have to be there. But like I said, for missing children, no. I want to feel everybody in that child's circle, because I guarantee you, one of them knows something. Most children who go missing are usually taken by a family member or someone they know that they've seen. And that person will insert themselves into the family's lives while they're looking for them. I've come across that more than once, even in murder cases.
Yeah.
So it's disgusting. I think what drives me is my anger at that point. My anger drives me, my determination to bring peace and closure to families. I'm still working with Vicky White, whose daughter was murdered 12 years ago on Thanksgiving in Woodland Park in Colorado. And there is a lot of police corruption there. Bobby has pushed to reopen the case. Vicky and I became really good friends. We even did some fundraisers together. Vicky was the type of mom that, if you want to talk strong, Vicky White, good Lord, boots on the ground mother after she finds her daughter's body. You know what she kept saying? I am blessed and fortunate that I know what happened to her, and I won't live the rest of my life wondering. And I just looked at her having a daughter, and you wouldn't think 33 years old. She's murdered because she knew too much. This was a setup. Her baby was in her truck. The other baby was home with Nana. It's like, what, it's so ugly, but someone has to help. And if it's me, then it's me. I don't know. I want to do whatever I can. And I hope that I'm good enough to help every time. That's all I pray for, is the strength. And please, God, give me that gift. Give me those answers. Give me those signs. Help me do this correctly. Don't let me miss anything constantly. Yeah. And she's the one that I became friends with. And I'm so glad that I did. I've learned so much from her, and I pray that we can get this. This has to go to Supreme Court. It has to be reopened, because there's a lot of corruption here, and that is out publicly, that the coroner made a lot of mistakes, and we need to exhume her body. But Vicky took that pain and went to several conventions where there were missing children. She created a child ID kit. I assisted in that with Bobby Brown and CPs, who was an FBI agent at the time, I believe. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I can't remember all the names. I wish I had brought it here so I could show you, but she gave them away for free. She wasn't even selling them. She was just giving them away. And she would buy tables at all of these conventions and put up faces and all the pictures of all the kids that were missing. Because when your child's 33, you don't think she's going to be missing for 5 days and her body is going to be found and all of this stuff is going on. It's sad. And it was Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
So I hope to give her that before she ever takes her last breath. And I told her, you better stick around for a long time because we're going to get this and we're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that people know what happened to Mindy Lee and not the bull crap that they're putting out there, because there's a huge, so much corruption there. And a lot of the police, the officers that were at Woodland Park were let go. But a lot of people who were around Mindy in her case, like her I can talk about because it's out there and I've interviewed Vicky before on my own. A lot of people that knew Mindy, it's Friday, forgive me.
It's okay.
They've died in mysterious ways since.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's a lot of young people.
Yeah.
A lot of young people. So
yes. I'm not deeply familiar, but somewhat familiar with the case.
Yeah.
Through a mutual friend of ours, and who I won't say her name because I didn't, ask her in advance if I could mention her. But there's some kind of subterranean darkness around it, and all I keep hearing is liar, 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 liar. There's that, and I know you know what I mean. My mother said all the time we were growing up in the farmhouse, and we'd have those moments where that did not just happen. And my mother would just nonchalantly say, fear the living, not the dead.
Oh, she's so right.
Yep. And the thing that stuck with me the most about that as I grew into adulthood, and I started seeing the duality in the world in relief, like sticking out of the surface, like in my face. This is the reality. The duality of our world is the conflict of good and evil, and evil is such a persistent force, and we have to work so hard, so diligently to suppress it, and to vanquish it. That was a big part of my own personal consternation of, I don't belong here. I don't belong here. I don't belong in a place that is so ugly and so painful, and that these things can even happen. I mean, I have spent the majority of this year with my head blowing off my shoulders because of Ukraine. Oof. And just seeing the images of these innocent people having their lives fractured and shattered with cruise missiles for what?
How is that even happening right now, though? Honestly, it's not like these countries are poor. It's not like they're behind generations. Why is this happening there? That's the thing that goes through my head. Why is this even happening?
Because of one man.
Oh, I know. I don't understand why he's still there.
Sword,
yeah,
and holding it at the throat of the world.
Oh, he's
and he's sick. He's twisted. He's delusional. He's a monster. And he needs to die, and somebody needs to have the courage to take him. He's pestilence on the planet. Somebody that's close enough needs to have the courage to take him out.
He has a lot of body levels, right, Andrea? Doesn't he?
Yeah.
But
the thing is, I feel, Amelia, as haunted by the living as I ever did by the dead, ever. More haunted by the living, more haunted by the intense, insipid, and pervasive cruelty that exists in the world. I went to Scotland this past summer.
Yes, I saw the
And
pictures.
oh my
It's on
God.
my bucket list.
Oh, geez, I wish you had been there with me. Oh my,
Oh,
but you know what?
I'm
It would have
going.
leveled you. I mean, it leveled me.
Oh, yeah.
It did. I mean, seeing how the quote unquote witches of Europe were treated in Scotland and all across the UK, the women accused of witchcraft, probably because somebody wanted their property.
It's like
And
that
that was the
everywhere.
only way to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And the ways that, I mean, the atrocious ways that a human being can come up with to torture and kill another human being is just beyond my comprehension. It is. And just knowledge of it wounds my soul.
It stays with you.
It stays with you.
It
It
stays
never
with you.
leaves. It's
Yeah.
knowledge you can't unknow
No.
what you've learned. You can't unsee what you've seen, unhear what you've heard. You
No.
can't.
That's how I feel about my great grandmother, knowing the stories and knowing her life and the struggles that she went through.
I understand
it's hard to
about the anger.
understand. Yeah, it's hard to understand now, looking back. Maybe then, I don't know. I don't understand it. I know some of them have been tortured in ways where they were tied up and rocks in their pockets and turned upside down into the water. And if they died, they were a witch. And if they lived, by ropes hanging over a bridge. And if they lived, then they weren't. Well, who's going to live if I'm weighted down and you're hanging me upside down into 10, 12 feet of water? In 1 foot of water, you're going to drown. It's just disgusting. It's unbelievable. And
the capacity for human depravity boggles my mind.
Yeah.
It
and the church
boggles
was doing
my
this.
mind.
The church
Yes,
was doing this.
The church was
the
doing
church,
this.
thou shalt not kill, on the
Right,
10 Commandments
right.
was doing this. They were
I know.
burning them alive.
Yeah.
And drowning them. And
the mercy, the only mercy was death. That was the only mercy. It is, I cannot comprehend it, which makes me understand that I'm not from here.
No, you're not. We know that.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean,
not
I
from here.
I'm on the earth, but I'm not of the earth. And I have wondered my whole life, what the hell? I just did a lecture a couple of weeks ago at the Starworks Symposium. And then I opened my lecture spontaneously. I didn't even think about it in advance. I never do. I get up on stage and whatever comes.
Yes, I love that
But
about
I opened
you.
my lecture with, I didn't ask for this. And I meant that. I didn't ask for this. And I do not believe that I voluntarily came to this planet without some argument.
I have
on
a
my
hard time
part.
with that too.
I can't believe that, that this was some kind of an assignment. And I said, oh yeah, pick me. I don't think so. Not if I knew what I was coming to. And it doesn't, my issue is not with the planet. I mean, she's struggling under the weight of the pestilence called humanity as we try to, deliberately kill her, or so it seems. But just the darkness, the
there's so much of it right now, though. It's very heavy.
It is
very
and
prevalent
the
every
thing is,
day.
it's rising to the surface.
You can't.
It is
not
rising
see
to
it.
the surface.
No.
Hit with a flamethrower at the base of the cauldron and rising to the surface to be cleansed by the light. But no one should make any mistake. There is pure, unadulterated evil in this life.
Well, we're seeing that with that recent fashion campaign. That is something that I'm working on right now. And it's a big, deep hole.
Yeah. It's a big deep hole, and I can't jump down it. And I'll tell you, Amelia, I've had the torch passed to me, and I won't go into great detail about this. I will personally with you. I'm not ready to do it publicly yet, but we'll talk personally about this. But I have received the passing torch to be the light that illuminates the darkness so that it can be cleansed. And I don't know if I have the strength left to carry the torch.
You'll find it.
I didn't ask for it.
I know, but you'll find it. There's a reason why you have it. Is you're chosen for a reason. You know, I never wanted to work malevolent hauntings. In fact, how you said I could never do what you do is exactly what I said to Michelle the first day I met her. And she said, I can never do what you do with crime scenes and children. And I'm like, you know, it's just different. And then all of a sudden I was thrust in it and I had no choice. And then when I looked back, I realized that darkness was always in my life. It was in my life when I tried to take my own life. Yeah. So there's a reason why you're getting that torch. You're getting that torch because you are the person who can do it. They wouldn't just hand you that. You know that. You've been through enough through your life that you know about all of it, whether it's darkness, you know, cosmic. You're not doing the things that you did. You didn't do them just to have a normal everyday life. You did them for experience so that you would be ready for this point. That I've always known about you.
I've had some experiences recently that have made me question things that I never questioned before.
I think it's part of it, though.
It is. It's part of my spiritual ascension. Yes. It's part of, I think that part of our spiritual ascension involves us taking a very deep dive so that hopefully when we get to the bottom, we can spring upward and rise up. And I do exactly what you do. I burn my anger as jet fuel. I do. I
get in trouble for that.
Me too.
Yeah, I get in trouble for that, especially when I see somebody who's fraud online. I get in trouble for that. I'm like, I'm going to get sued.
Oh, you know, and the language that comes out of my mouth. Oh, God.
That we're both the same. We're both guilty of that.
I can't help it. I can't help it. I want to kill every one of the sons of bitches with my bare hands. I've got Putin right at the top of the list right now.
I'm amazed he's still walking, to be honest with you. I would have thought somebody would have taken him out by now. I don't understand how they haven't.
No.
Every security has, it's just like a chain. There's a weakest link. You can always get in. It doesn't make any sense.
No, I know. You know? Well, the thing is that he spawns terror in all of those around him. He's already killed off 9 or 10 oligarchs that disagreed with him about the war. And he made sure that he had their families killed in front of them before they were the last to go. You know, I mean, he's just that malevolent, just that vicious and vindictive and twisted.
I'm feeling your pain and I'm starting to tear up.
You know, I just can't, you know, and I'm not saying that, you know, these guys didn't buy into all of this and that they didn't know what they were getting into when he elevated them into positions where they would receive more money than God as long as they did what he wanted them to do, which was basically to launder money for him.
Yeah.
I find it's the despots, the warmongers, those among us. This is all part of the paradigm shift, my darling. This is all part of forcing.
Yeah, you have to get the cancer out
into
first.
The light.
It's just so the disturbing part for me is we're in a time that this shouldn't be happening.
No,
We're supposed to be civilized. It's not like he's coming from a country where they don't understand anything. I just don't understand. I know it's greed. I know it's
it is.
control. And
It
I know
is
he's not
power
well.
and greed.
And he's not well. And
Yeah.
they're still letting him. There is just such a, for me, I know people are going to get upset with me, but I won't say the name of the leader, but he reminds me of someone who killed masses and masses of people
Yeah.
in a war. And
Yeah.
I don't understand that kind of thinking. I don't understand. These leaders are supposed to be gentlemen. They're supposed to be professionals. They're supposed to be educated and be able to have a conversation. This is gone too far. A long time ago, it went too far.
Yeah. And at the end of World War II, when the whole world collectively said, never again, we were supposed to mean that.
I don't think they were a part of it.
And no,
I don't think they were a part of that, though. They had the wall up after that, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah. It was, never again has lost all of its meaning when I look at the suffering that that the people of Ukraine are enduring, and not just Ukraine. I look at what's going on in Iran. I look at what happened in Egypt. I look at Yemen. I look at Syria. I look at, countless. I mean, we could just sit here for the next half an hour and name off the countries where atrocities are occurring on a day-to-day basis.
Well, here it's a different type of war, right? You have, I know for me, where I grew up in Toronto, and there used to be gang stuff and things like that, but you knew what neighborhoods not to enter, where not to go. Now it's just different. You don't know if you're in your car and somebody has road rage and it's going to shoot you. I mean, that is happening in Canada, where we have gun laws. Don't forget that. But yet, I always say gun laws only, they don't, for me, a gun law doesn't make any sense, because people who commit crimes find guns not by purchasing them legally.
Right.
Well,
it's too late in the United States.
United States, you have a different, because you have your rights are different than ours. Our Charter of Freedom's a little bit different. Here, they're allowed to have shotguns in order for hunting. They're not allowed to carry. I can't tell you how many Americans have crossed the Buffalo border, the Quebec border from Massachusetts, and the border from Seattle to from Washington to BC to go hunting, and thought they could bring their rifles in.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. And they'll come with handguns too, and they're like, no, you need to go back.
Yeah.
But
here's your little turnaround right here.
They escort you out. No, we don't have that. And people think that we're just too liberal. We really are not. I don't know if you've looked at our leader. There's nothing liberal about him except the sign on his party.
Yeah.
But it's just, I feel like we're out of control. I feel like when that pandemic happened, it changed a lot of things. I feel like it happened sooner than it was supposed to. I don't want to get you flagged on YouTube because I know all about those rules. But I think something happened during that time between him and here, our two countries, that's causing him to go to Ukraine. That's what I feel.
I think that there are things that we don't know. But I really feel that I cannot believe that this kind of pure evil exists
now
unsupported. That he would not have been able to do what he's doing if he didn't have sycophants, if he didn't have those
in his pocket,
right, that were and that he and other leaders, one in particular who will not be named here tonight on my show because I don't want to vomit in my mouth,
probably feel what ours,
use fear as a tool of control. Has something on everybody that okay, here's the bottom line, and I'm just going to fucking say it, okay? It's time
It's a bully.
for, it's my show. I can say whatever I want, and you can say whatever you want to.
Thank you.
Here's the thing. Greed and power, corruption and control. And these people will sell their souls to the goddamn devil to keep it.
Yeah.
And think somehow that all of their money's going with them when they exit this planet, and it's not.
Yeah.
And that they can destroy this planet however they see fit, and that it's their right to do that. And those that dwell upon it, and not just the people, but the creatures that have just as much right to be here as the peace-loving people.
I agree.
And so I think ultimately we have to just get to and I'm not saying, please, I am not saying all women are pure of heart and kind and nurturing and good to the core, because that's just not the case.
No, we've seen it.
We've seen it. We've
more
seen
than once.
the malevolence. We've seen the destructive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But the vast majority of wars that have been perpetrated on this planet were initiated by powerful men seeking more power.
Well,
and it is time to cut the head off that snake. And when I was out at Starworks, my friend Regina Meredith, I've done her show on Gaia a number of times, Open Minds. Yeah, she's wonderful. And she introduced a notion that has really stuck with me since I heard her lecture.
You sharing?
She said, take the pyramid and flip it, because the titular head of the pyramid is that tiny little percentage of people who control the power and the money. And what is down at the base is the bulk of the rest of us. And take that shape, that pyramid, and flip it.
Invert it.
And the weight of the masses will crush the few who have been feeding like parasites off the masses. Here's a case in point, driving me out of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a case in point. The railroad industry has been teetering right on the brink of collapse in this country, because they're really pissed off, because these men who work like animals.
They do.
And I know some men that work for the railroad. I know how dangerous.
Yeah, a lot of people have died for very small wages working on the railroad. Yeah.
And no sick time. Yeah. If they contract COVID, they have to take that time off on their own dime.
Oh, that's
in an
just
industry
wrong.
That makes billions of dollars every quarter.
Oh, it costs a lot of money to sit on a train. It's almost more than a flight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, billions and billions of dollars accrued by this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to afford their workers sick time.
How do they get away with that?
And they get away with that. And so I don't blame them for wanting to strike. I also know that for them to do that right now at this time would cripple our economy. And so you've got that, how's it going to go? How's it going to go?
Holidays,
and so they had to rush a bill through Congress to force them not to strike, just like, and the same thing applies to air traffic controllers. And back in the 80s, Reagan fired all of them for striking, just fired all of them, because they shut down the airline industry. They had that kind of power. And so they were a threat, because
they have a lot of pressure on their shoulders. They should be well paid.
That's right. They should be well paid, and they should have sick time. And so I want to ask every single member of the House of Representatives and every single member of the Senate who voted not to put the amendment in on this bill that kept the railroads up and running and voted against the amendment to give them sick time as part of their package, I want to ask every one of them, as a member of the House of Representatives of the United States of America, as a member of the Senate in Congress, and we pay your salaries, how many days a year do you get off sick? Paid. How
Lots.
many?
Yeah.
How many?
Lots.
All right.
Probably as
If
many
you
as they have
voted
paid
no
luncheons.
against this, then your sick time needs to go away. Needs to be just cut completely out. You don't get any more sick days. It comes out of your own pocket. If you got the sniffles and have to stay home and miss a boat, it comes out of your pocket. Watch how fast they change their
They'll change the law.
tune about right.
It's always like
mean,
that.
And that's the thing that we have lost, I think, as a society, and not just our society in this country, but in a kind of a world mindset, is we've lost or have misplaced. Let's just say misplaced. It's a kinder, gentler.
We still allow people to take sick days here.
Yeah.
Just saying. Yeah. I don't understand who would want to support railway workers or traffic controllers not having sick days. I would not want my plane to be landed
by somebody with a fever of 106 that had to make the flight.
Right? Or hacking.
No matter what.
Because he can't hear.
Right.
This is just, maybe we should let them, lead the House of Representatives flights in.
Yes.
And,
that's a good idea. I like that.
All of the parliamentarians in Canada to just let his flight in. You come over here with a fever and you let, whose flight, you guide that right in, baby. It's just wrong. And if people, I find that people really put their heads in the sand with things. When we were talking about deals with the devil, with the darkness, and they think, oh, it's such a fairy tale. Let me tell you something. There is a lot more to Dante's Inferno than just a painting or a comedy or a poetry. You need to really seriously take a look at that stuff. I've touched the other side. I've worked on the other side, and I can tell you there are different levels. And whoever this thing is, it amazes me at the power that it has, what it feeds off. These things are ancient. You cannot close your eyes to this. I think you're only hurting yourself. We need to take a deep look at why these people are the only people, small percentage. Mm-hmm. And you have to look back to the 1800s when the banks just started opening and who started opening them, and if they actually do have any money or if it's just numbers. Mm-hmm. We need to look a little bit deeper. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I do have an issue with that, especially with this.
Paul Hellyer died last year. He said there will be an international collapse of the monetary system. And that it is forthcoming. And his last book was all about it and exactly how it would happen. And I can't tell, talk about head in the sand. People don't want to think about this or see this or even acknowledge the possibility that this could happen. And yet look what's happening right now with cryptocurrency, which is based on nothing.
Exactly. How many of them have died
at Fort Knox?
Yeah. How many of them have died?
I know.
Right. Are we at 4?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So far. Yeah. And the rest of them are probably going to end up in jail. And this was an illusion that was bought into. Now, think back over the last, not even a decade, how many people have been buying into an illusion created of someone or something that had no basis in reality and was just put forth as bait for weak-minded individuals who will believe anything. And now we have this proliferation worldwide of conspiracy theories that are so outlandish. Some of them are actually, if they weren't so dangerous, they'd be funny. You know, the Italian laser spaceships, hitting the voting machines in Nevada. And it's like, what planet
not happy. They're too busy.
Come from?
They're too busy drinking wine and enjoying the beach. Trust me, they're not trying to interfere with your government. They can't control their own.
No, they can't.
No.
And anybody that's even got a modicum of education and knows anything about world events knows that they're just really not interested in interfering in our elections. And the one leader, quote unquote leader, that did was invited to do so.
Yeah.
Right in front of our faces.
That all came out. I was really surprised.
No accountability for it.
I know.
Still, all these years later. Oh God.
I know. I felt for you during that time.
Amelia, I so want to be the light. I tell people all the time to be the light that you seek. Be the light in the world. Be that guiding light for someone who needs you so desperately.
Start at home.
And yet, in order for you to be the light, you have to delve into the pit of despair in order to be the light. And I know myself. I could never do what you do. But that said, and that how much I admire your strength and your character and your resolve and your willingness to at least attempt to set things right.
I try.
Let me bring Tony in for just a minute.
Yeah.
Tony, do we have any questions for Amelia? Because this is an intense conversation. We might need to break this up a little bit here.
We do. Let me pop those up.
Yeah, otherwise we'll talk right past our allotted time.
We have 2 hours, honey. Lori St. Maurice I'm an empath in her 50s whose mom never listened to me as a child or let me develop my gifts my whole life. Is it too late for me to develop the I don't know where those the rest gifts. Of it went.
Not at all, Lori. My gosh, no. Follow what you're actually being guided to.
Right.
To pursue that and to feel it and to explore it. If you need any help, just send me an email. I'd be happy to help you and see if we can find someone that can mentor you wherever you live. I don't think it's too late. You've always had that gift, and it's just waiting to come out. And never apologize for it. An empath is a beautiful thing. We lack empathy, we lack humanity nowadays, and you should be proud of that. And believe me, when you pull out that light and you start shining it, you will affect greatly everybody's life that surrounds you. So please don't give up. If you need help, Lori, just email me.
Amelia does not make that offer lightly. And give them your website address where they
can my website, and you can email me from there. It's ameliapisano.com. Very, very simple. And if you can't remember my last name, just remember the Tower of Pisa. And no, we weren't the reason they're sinking. No. I get that one all the time, like it's something new.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the one that's sinking? I'm like, oh.
That's the beauty of a world awakening, is that our viewers can connect with our guests.
That's a beautiful, beautiful question. And it took courage to ask. So I appreciate that very much. Yes, I appreciate that very much.
And she's with us all the time. She's a lovely, wonderful person. And, very consistently on a world awakening, doing her part to grow and grow into her own spiritual ascension.
Beautiful.
It is. She's beautiful.
Yeah. We are nothing without our listeners. We really are.
Right. Yeah. That's right. Okay. Tony, anybody else, honey? Timothy Mullins. My question is to both of you. Do you believe that Zelensky is corrupt as well as Putin? I do not. Personally, I think that Zelensky was someone who is rising to the occasion of the paradigm shift. And I have the utmost respect for him and his courage. It would have been so easy for him to just blow out of Ukraine, not put himself in daily danger. I think that he should be an inspiration to all of us. He is a man who believes in the tenets of democracy and of people attaining and maintaining their personal freedom. I think I am personally inspired by him. My heart breaks for him because I know the pain that he feels seeing his country. I mean, 1,000-year-old cities being blown to fucking smithereens.
Yeah.
And he's living in a country where Zaporizhia, the largest nuclear power plant in all of Western Europe, is under daily assault. You know, one missile hits that building in the wrong place and it's going down like dominoes, and nobody will ever be going over to visit Western Europe again because whole huge swaths of it will be unlivable for thousands of years. It will be completely, utterly destroyed. And oh, guess what? We all breathe the same air. And there will be nuclear fallout all over the northern hemisphere. At least that.
It's in the wind, literally.
That's right.
You can't,
and he
you can't
is
think it's not going to affect you.
He is standing up to that evil. And I agree with him when he says, no, there's no negotiations. Get out.
I admire him for being boots on the ground, to be honest with you. I've never seen a leader really do that before. Him. So other than, I think, the Queen Elizabeth, who rode on her horse and soldiered on with all of her knights, I don't think we've seen it since.
No, I know, I agree. And it takes a certain amount of personal courage. Hold on. Bill at KGRA just sent a message. Okay, now everybody's going to see my old lady glasses.
I've been wearing them the whole time.
Mostly blind. Putin is committing crimes against humanity by attacking power supply in Ukraine so that they will all freeze to death this winter, men, women, and children. Yes, he's a monster. He doesn't even qualify as a human being, as far as I am concerned. And so, therefore, I have no qualms about him being taken off this planet. None. Because
I hope we're helping him.
There's this thing that we talk about, and we have talked about being a spiritual warrior for peace. And that is not a counterintuitive concept. There are certain things which are worth fighting for. And if there weren't, then at the end of World War II, we'd all be learning German. You know, I mean, we need to accept the fact that evil and good are in constant conflict in our world, and good conquers evil and love conquers fear, but only because of our willingness to forge forth at sometimes our own expense and our own safety in order to lift up others that are fighting for the same values. And so I admire Volodymyr Zelensky very much. And I also, my heart breaks for him. It breaks
and his family.
For him and his family and his people. And I'll never get over what I've seen.
I don't understand it. And I think what we need to do, like my uncle, my father's brother, was a prisoner of war during the Nazis took him in Italy for 3 months. They thought he was killed, and he escaped and made his way home. The Nazis did take over Italy for a long time. My father was a small child and he was shot at while he was running through the streets. He was a child and they were shooting at
Yeah.
9. Anyways, I think what's missing in our everyday lives is connection. This is what I mean by starting at home.
Mm-hmm.
Connect with your children. We are forgetting our vets. We're forgetting what they went through. And we're watching this happen in another country. Let's start at home. Let's remind the kids and the grandkids what the war was like, what grandma or grandpa went through, or Uncle John, or, cousin Ted, whatever. I think that conversation, if you continue to tell the story that is real, will feel real, and hopefully will raise a compassionate generation. I think it's very important. I think that everything has to start at home.
Well, we've got home here. I'm 64 years old. I can remember back 50 years ago, and I would never in my wildest dreams imagine a time in my lifetime where there would be a full-throated proliferation of Nazis in America.
It's shocking.
It is shocking.
Yeah, it's shocking.
It is absolutely shocking.
Because
White
they're out in the open.
supremacists abound. They've been given not tacit approval, overt approval to rear their ugly heads. And, it seems conflicted when on one side, we who are considered spiritualists say, we're all in this together. We need to embrace each other. We need to, try to understand each other. And the whole notion of the golden rule, which my version is do unto others as though you are the others.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are the others. Mm-hmm. But I'm not that other. And that other is so destructive that the Department of Homeland Security, the CIA, and the FBI have all listed the underground militias and this movement in America that we all thought was tiny and turned out to be much larger than we thought, as the single most destructive force operating against the United States and against, it's almost like an internal tyranny. Like, the old horror movie, The Call is Coming from Inside the House.
Yes,
When a stranger calls. I just gave myself
when a stranger calls.
saying it.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening. Yeah. And anybody that is unwilling to see the destructive force of what is occurring, that is, put blinders on, that are Holocaust deniers and election deniers.
Oh my God, I can't believe it.
And that denier and conspiracy theorists. I feel like the world has lost its collective mind. And I feel like a lot of it has to do with COVID. Not that getting COVID, I know what it did to my memory. It really
went through it too.
I've had it 4 times.
Oh my God. I had it once, but for 7 weeks.
Yeah.
7 weeks I was coughing.
The first time it almost killed me. The first time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was red. Nobody knew what it was yet. And the only reason that I did learn right at the beginning. Yeah. And I knew that was something different because I completely lost my sense of taste and smell. And I started losing my memory very suddenly. I couldn't remember people's names. And I was, the fatigue, exhaustion doesn't even touch it.
No,
there's like a whole other word for it.
No, you can't lift your head off the pillow.
It messed with my head.
I'm so sorry.
And still to this day, my cognitive abilities were slightly impaired by it. I know that. I will reach for a word that was always right there, and now it's not. And I blame COVID for that. But when you think about, as a writer, I'm perfectly happy being isolated. I'm very reclusive in general. When I'm not out in the public and surrounded by hundreds or thousands of people, I am perfectly happy being right here in the man cave.
I was fine.
I was. I'm like,
I was fine.
Oh, I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to get on a plane for we don't know how long. This is okay for me. You know, the only
I
thing
can
that
live in boxer shorts and a t-shirt all day with a
I hear
coffee.
you.
I'm good.
I hardly ever got out of my jammies, my soft fuzzy jammies, or my moo-moos, or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I love it.
I really do think that it messed with us on a fundamental level.
Mm-hmm.
That there were, I mean, the suicide rate has gone through the roof. Drug abuse has gone through the roof. Violent crime has gone through the roof.
Here too.
You know, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it's frightening. It really is frightening. I mean,
Oh yeah.
the whole notion of a paradigm shift, for those that don't understand it, is at its most simplistic definition would be an event or events that literally change our perceptions of reality, so that was then, this is now, and nothing is ever going to be that was then again.
I don't
And
think
George
you can.
Santayana, the great poet and mystic, I think, is the one that wrote, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And I think that in terms of on the world political stage, I think that's where we're at right now, is that we're condemned to repeat. You know, some people say, oh my God, we're right on the verge of World War III. I think we're in it.
Oh.
I think we're in it.
Yeah, I don't think people realize
different. And there are millions and millions of people who are watching it as though it's some kind of reality-based video game where real blood and bombs are involved.
That's a problem. That's something that I get angry about with social media and internet, because you know, you lose your sense of humanity, you lose your compassion, you don't know what's real and what's not real. You don't feel the pain of something because you think that's normal. When people say, oh, my son's not going to be a murderer because he's playing video games. No, but it's part of the profile, darling. Like it's on it for a lot of them. These school shootings, you know, murders like that, people who just go in and randomly pick 6 people in a coffee shop and shoot them. A lot of this comes from there. They see it. And what you're not seeing,
and desensitized to it.
Very desensitized. But let me tell you what you're not seeing. Terrorists use video games online as a form of communication.
Yep.
And I think when you understand that, you will look twice into what your child is playing with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And who your child is talking to online.
Yes. Absolutely. You know, we've never, up until the last 20 years, have had to have an internet department in law enforcement. Mm-hmm. And the cyber division is a difficult place to work. Most of them are working and posing as young children, meeting, you know, child molesters and pedophiles. There's a big difference between the two. I get a little antsy when people mix them up and call everybody a pedophile. And I'll explain to you why. Pedophiles don't act. They watch, they sell, they don't act. Child molesters act, engage, and it eventually just excels. It gets worse and worse and worse. Eventually they're tearing a body apart. Eventually they're burying them. Eventually they're taking a lock of their hair or keeping, this is gross, but it does happen, their body part in a fridge. They take trophies.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yes.
Started
he was
mutilating animals and then moved to people.
A lot of that happens because they learn how they have this desire and they get off on cutting. And some of them will get off on seeing the fear in someone's eyes. There is a serial killer. I don't like to give names because I always try to give names to the victims and not the murderers. Yeah, I try to keep the victims alive. If there's an anniversary of something, you'll often see me post the victims' names and not who the perpetrator was. Yes. There's so much to it. You have to be aware. You know, Columbine.
It was 20 years ago. To me,
but it feels like yesterday.
Like it was 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Uvalde. And what kept 19 full-grown male officers in a hallway when 19 children and staff were bleeding out, and they were afraid to go in because they thought they were outgunned and they didn't want to die. They were afraid to go in. Then you can't have that job.
Thank you. I have that comment with people, then you shouldn't be doing that work. Well, I shouldn't have this. Well, then you shouldn't be doing that job. That's all I can tell you. This is the oath you took. This is the promise you
Preserve,
made.
protect, and defend.
Absolutely.
You can't be standing out in the hallway quaking.
It just happened recently too, right?
Yes,
At a school,
it did. Just a few months ago in South Texas.
Police officer, she stood back and she was on film.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm so glad that, this is really bad. And I think that if you're thinking that Andrea and I are incorrect, perhaps you should watch Columbine by Michael Moore.
Yes. And brilliant film. Brilliant.
It's brilliant. And he's so compassionate, and he's just never gives up.
He is relentless. He is relentless. Yes,
I love that about him. What he opens your eyes to is happening right then and there with his camera. This isn't a setup. This isn't a reenactment. He's showing you how easy this is. Remember the school, Sandy Hook. Okay, we won't even go into the other stuff with the dumbass that's talking about how it's not real.
Mr. $1.4 billion declared in settlements, declared bankruptcy.
He's going to rot in a special place in hell.
Yes, he is. Let there be
that
a
is
special
disgusting.
Hell.
It's disgusting. Yep. And the only reason why he's sad is because he's lost money. He doesn't care. He still has that belief system.
Who he's hurt.
I remember
Zero
the day it
remorse.
happened.
See, the thing is, Amelia, I will say it again. I will say it until I draw my last breath. You cannot have a crisis of conscience if you don't have a conscience.
True. Absolutely true. Yeah. It's just, Sandy Hook for me was so disturbing because it was a teacher's son. And she knew, I'm not blaming her because he ended up killing her.
Yes. With her own gun.
With her own gun. It's just a great thing to have a gun. Anyways, we won't go there. A lot of children who are killed by guns are because it's their mothers, their grandmothers, or their grandfathers, or fathers, or brothers that they've been played with,
loaded and it goes accessible off. To them. Yes.
Yes. So that is just a fact. You can Google that. That is a fact. That's not an argument. That's not a personal opinion. It is a fact.
And I'm so sorry if anybody's offended, but here is the bottom line fact.
Yeah.
There are 330 million people in the United States of America. Go on the interwebs, on the Google machine, and look it up. There's the census numbers. There's 330 million people in the United States. And there are 365 million plus guns, including weapons of war, and 70% of the households in the United States do not have a firearm in them, which means that the other 30% have all the arms, have all, including weapons of war, including guns that were meant to be used on a battlefield. And now our streets have turned into that battlefield, and there is no fixing this kind of broken. And so it's very, very hard for me to have any hope that we'll ever as a society have the will to at least attempt to regulate this and attempt to, there's just too many people in this country that love their firearms more than their own society.
Yeah, you have a different law. You guys can carry
it's
guns that we can't.
To state.
Yeah,
it literally is different from state to state.
It is.
Get caught with a firearm in Massachusetts, it's a mandatory 1-year sentence in jail.
It's like here,
cross the border to Texas, and they hand you one as you cross the border, and you don't have to sign anything.
There's
go. There's no background check. There's no registration. There's no.
That's insane.
And right after Uvalde and right after the mass shooting down in El Paso at Walmart, they loosened their gun laws. Like the more people that have guns, the better, because then maybe there's the off chance that
they can take
somebody
out.
will take
Really?
out the good guy with a gun will take out
Why
the
don't
bad
we
guy
just
with a
put
gun.
more law enforcement out instead of, I feel like even in Canada, we don't pay our law enforcement enough money for what they do. I have a
Yeah.
friend who's a police officer and
Neither do
she
we.
works. Yeah, I have lots of friends who are police officers. I wanted to be a police officer when I was growing up, and my father said, I have 3 sons. I'm not sending my daughter to war. So I found a different way to work with them, very spiritual way.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of friends who are police officers, and this one in particular works downtown Toronto, which is really, really bad. You know, we get this perception that we're this amazing people, these kind Canadians. You don't see our crime. We have just as much crime, if not more, than New York at times.
Yeah.
She was in between 2 people who were having a fight, trying to stop a gun, and it took 40 minutes for her to get back up. 40 minutes for her.
Unacceptable.
Now, if I was downtown Toronto, well, how long would it take me?
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I left the city, but how long would it take me to get that assistance? And I just looked at her, go, you got to be kidding me. She goes, no. She said, I had to carry this out in the middle of the street. This is like being, downtown Manhattan. Downtown Toronto is the same. Congestion, the people. You have to have eyes in the back of your head, make sure that no one shoots anybody who's innocently walking by.
Right.
We've had crazy people drive vans into crowds of people on a sidewalk and kill them. We've had all of that. It does happen here. The difference here is they're getting the guns black market because we don't carry or sell them.
Right.
And I believe that it's time, not only for our country, but yours as well, to put out more law enforcement. We need to pay them more money. We need to give them, they're risking
better.
their lives. They don't know if they're coming home.
Every time they get in, that's right. They don't know when they say goodbye to their families. One of the worst things, in my opinion, that ever came out in, now, okay, there are nut jobs that refer to the attack on the Capitol on January 6th as quote unquote legitimate political discourse. That's insane. That's insane. However, you know what else is insane? That anybody suggested in the United States of America that we defund our police. We need a good, strong, foundational force of peacekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that you're dealing with an extraordinarily wide variety of people. Yeah. And very often when you put someone in a position that wields that kind of power, it can and occasionally will be abused. A couple of weeks ago on my show, I had my good friend Greg Lawson, who is actually a police officer in Texas. Mm-hmm. And, the conversation got...
I've got to watch that episode.
Yeah, and Greg is, oh my God, he's so wonderful. He and his wife are extraordinary people. And, he insists that it's really all about the training, because, and when you have somebody that gets, particularly in this country, that, the race war is already underway. Mostly a war of words, but not entirely. And there have been, one case after another. If anybody watched George Floyd be murdered,
I saw that.
Countless millions of people did all over the world. I mean, not only was I physically sickened by what I saw and listening to that man crying for his dead mother to help him in the last moments of his life as the urine spilled out of his body and he was in a complete panic and absolutely paralyzed with fear, and 4 men kneeling on his body as he was trying to use his knuckles to raise his body so that his lungs would expand so that he could breathe. We watched that man die. And
I feel sorry for the people around him. Yeah, that had to watch that.
And the thing that most blew my mind about that, of all of it blew my mind. But that a 17-year-old girl stood a few feet away and filmed all of it. And the police suffered such hubris that they thought that would never, I mean, why didn't one of them get up and say, knowing that they were doing something wrong, give me your phone?
Because they didn't feel that they were in the wrong at the time. They didn't think that
they would ever be held accountable for it.
No, and they didn't think they were doing anything wrong. In that heat of a moment, not that I agree with what they did, because I don't agree. I think that he should have been penalized more than he was, in my opinion. I think he got off easy, to be honest with you. When you're in the heat of a moment of something so tragic, you don't understand it, so violent. You don't understand it when you're standing around it. I believe a lot of the police officers that were there were like, what the F is, what, you know what I mean? Like trying to comprehend and crowd control. There's a lot that goes through everything, right? So I don't know. I feel for everyone who had to watch that. I personally would not have been filming. I can tell you when people say, oh, you can't speak about what you would do. Yeah, I can, because I put myself.
I would have body slammed the son of a bitch.
I would have been shocked.
I would have gotten his weight off that man's neck.
I would have done the same. I know I'm going to get hate mail for this. They're going to be like, I was there and you don't know. I
don't care.
No, I
Not
can
from
tell
my
you.
people, you won't. They're used to this from me. You won't get hate mail. Not from my people, you will not.
I'm not the person who could stand back and watch something happen. I've always put myself in the middle of danger. I've done that most of my life. Sometimes it's stupid. Sometimes I think it helped someone. I don't understand. I think today's society is so freaking numb. And I mean that when I'm saying this with social media, we're so numb, and that's what they want. They want us to be like this all the time. So we don't notice what's going around here.
Right. I know. And we've lost our sense of empathy. Not all of us, certainly, and our sense of compassion. And our sense of mutually shared humanity.
How do you film that crap?
I know.
How do you stand there filming?
No, I would have taken on the ground with him and beat him over the head with it.
Well, I wear stilettos, so that would be the first thing that went. But just saying.
I can't help it. And I'm not a violent person.
Yeah. No, Bobby always says that I should have a permit. I'm going to show you what I wear just because I'm a little person and I can't speak.
There you go.
He's like,
there you go.
Yeah,
I've seen those come fuck me pumps before. I have.
Yeah. This is a weapon. And Bobby Brown always says you need a permit for that concealed weapon of yours. And anyways, I would not be able to watch that. I don't understand what type of person films the violence. I don't get it. If you're that person, explain it to me. I'd like to know. I don't understand that. I'd be in the middle of it. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
I would not.
To her credit, she was very young.
She was a young girl, and she was
probably terrified and traumatized.
Yeah.
But something told her, I at least have to record this. And probably she didn't think that they were going to kill him, but that they were,
I agree.
That this would stop before he died, and it didn't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I can understand, being that young and that scared, and still having the courage to pull that phone out of her pocket and hit the video button. And thank God that she did, because it was that video that secured his conviction. It was that video that secured the conviction, because there was just no way to deny that he was pressing his knee harder and harder and harder into this man's throat.
I hope he
deliberately. This was with malice and forethought, and
it wasn't necessary.
No, it wasn't necessary. Over a supposedly counterfeit $20 bill.
It doesn't matter. It wasn't
It
necessary.
doesn't matter. It
No.
doesn't matter what it was.
No,
It doesn't. But we only have a couple of minutes left, Amelia,
no problem.
and I can't believe our 2 hours went this fast. But before we go, hold on. Before we come here.
He's only got one. Oh, do I get to see Princess Peanut? Oh, hi,
it's
baby.
the princess. This is the love of my life, the
She
joy,
really
the light,
rescued
the
you,
center
didn't
of my
she?
universe. And I
She
just plucked
rescued
her
you.
off of her bed, and she was laying upside down, waiting for the forthcoming full body rub that's coming,
Look
right?
at that. Mine's an
Yes,
old
he's my
guy.
baby.
He's sleeping on my feet because he's 14 now. So he has
I
trouble
know, he's
seeing.
I know.
Yeah, he's having
I
trouble
know.
seeing. So he smells to see if it's me,
Oh.
and kind of, yeah, he's adapting now. He's really good.
This
He's
is
the
my
king
baby.
now. She's
Well-
beautiful. Your father's really attached to her.
Oh my God, it's pathetic. It is. That's a whole nother story. I just want you to know how much I love and adore you.
I love you
and
too.
I'm so grateful that you came on so that I could share you
Oh,
with
thank
all
you
of
for
our
having
viewers.
me. It's such an honor to be here. Honestly, I was shocked when Lynn mentioned. I'm like, what? I said, oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you so
No,
much for having me. It's such an honor. And I just want to say thank you to your family, because I didn't say this, because the second book, they were giving of themselves and their experiences while sharing and being generous, and get the
Yes.
trilogy.
Yes, I will. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you. Let's
Love
talk,
you.
Privately through the holidays. I'm leaving for Georgia on
Sure.
Sunday. I'll be there throughout the holidays with my mother, so we'll talk.
Nice.
And then I'll put my mom on the phone so that you can talk with her.
I would love to.
Yes.
Yeah.
She
Yes,
she
sir.
pre-loved you just from me telling her about you, but now it's time to connect. It is.
Yeah, I love
So
her.
with that, I want to thank all of our viewers from around the world who we love and deeply appreciate that you join us here week in, week out, and have the courage to delve deeply into sometimes very difficult subject matter. I love and admire all of you, as I do my dear, dear friend, Amelia Pisano. And please feel free to reach out to her. She will answer you. She will help guide you and support you. And she is as pure of heart as any person I have ever known. And with all my love and all my heart, I wish all of you a blessed good evening or good morning in Australia. Good night.